Salesforce Contracts was positioned to support fully the sell-side contract. I'm talking about NDAs, MSAs, order forms, sales agreements. If companies of any size are managing contract in multiple motion, uncontrolled manner, in a state of chaos without proper approvals, the risk could quickly catch up with them. Legal has different priorities than your sales users. Their quota is really to mitigate risk for the organization. So they're hyper vigilant on that. And that's really the main reason why we wanted to bring a contracting solution to the market.
Welcome, Don. How are you?
Great, Samir.
Welcome to our first podcast in this series around Salesforce's new offerings. Really excited to be here today and looking forward to a great conversation with you. So let's start with some intros. Why don't you introduce yourself, Don, and then I can give a little background about me and N28, and then we can get started.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Well, my name is Don Fernando. I'm on the product solutions team here at Salesforce, supporting Agentforce Revenue Management with a specialization in contracts. I came to Salesforce with the SteelBrick acquisition in 2016. And prior to that, I used to be a services leader at SteelBrick, also did CPQ and QTC consulting, and actually got into this space as an early employee at Big Machines in a services capacity. And prior to that, I was a customer developer. But I think one thing about joining Salesforce is kind of the profound investment and innovation we're making onto our platform capabilities, including ARM and the CLM solution. So excited to talk to you about it.
Great. Thanks for that. So exciting to see how this space has evolved from SteelBrick, CPQ days to now where we are now. So it's really exciting to see this product evolve, this whole space come to such a mature place now. So excited to talk to you about that. A little bit about us. I lead strategy here at N28 Technologies. We are a boutique Salesforce consulting firm, which we have been doing for over 7 to 8 years now, where we focus on revenue operations, revenue cloud, manufacturing cloud, and focus in on the healthcare space as well. So really excited to talk to you today about how this new offering, standalone contract offering from Salesforce, will be a game changer for some of our customers, and we can get into more of what is offered and how our customers can make use of it and how we can help. So that's the goal for today. So let's jump in and talk a little bit about, we are moving from CPQ into revenue cloud transformation, and customers have realized a lot of benefits from that transformation, but there are some who aren't ready for a full revenue cloud transformation. How should they start thinking about standalone contracts, and what does that journey look like?
Yeah. So what's interesting about the Salesforce contract solution is that it was actually launched before ARM, formerly known as RMM, Lifecycle Management. But it did kind of lay the groundwork for core objects working with core processing in a headless capacity, and deploying that capability within your Salesforce investment. So specifically around CLM standalone, if customers have existing CPQ managed package, or if they're just made the investment in Sales Cloud, you can activate our contracting solution against those footprints. In that, you can enable your runtime user to initiate the contracting process off of any object, whether it's the account, the opportunity, or the CPQ quote. And that statement brings a lot of value because, number one, it's like naturally embedded in the sales data flow. You're not going off menu to something outside our cloud. And the flip side to that is like when you're adminning, putting together your templates, you have full access to all Salesforce information across all objects. So the dynamic creation of any agreement can be made possible with the Salesforce Contracts standalone.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. So that's where we don't have to launch an entire new cloud, but we can launch Salesforce Contracts and have all the capabilities to be able to create a contract from your existing objects. That's pretty exciting. How do you see this? As you and I know, the legal audience is very different from the IT or C-suite buyers that Salesforce and we typically engage with. What pain points resonate most with legal team? And when introducing contract level management, how does that, in your experience, work?
No, you're right. I mean, legal has different priorities than your sales users. I mean, their quota is really to mitigate risk for the organization. So they're hyper vigilant on that. So they do care about the opportunity and quote creation process, but they don't really care about participating in every pursuit. What they do care is about detection of risk in that selling process and managing the exceptions when they arise. So when you have an integrated CLM solution that can generate kind of pre-approved legal language, so the sales user doesn't have to think about structuring that from scratch. It's already like pre-approved verbiage. That can go untouched. But when the sales rep needs to negotiate certain terms, especially the sensitive ones, legal needs to be aware of that. And that's where our CLM solution can come in, be inserted in the selling process, get those early detectors, and notify the legal team on how to handle objections and negotiate further.
That's where it's crucial to have something where they can be part of the process to begin with. They have input, they have visibility, they can chime in as needed to mitigate risk right from the start.
I think another thing too is, so they want visibility to the transactional process, but they need the ability to query their contract set because outside risk happens all the time. You know, there could be a new legal kind of new law out there that could impact their contract base. And without a connected CLM solution, a lot of times the research on the contract base becomes a manual process to investigate which customers have certain clauses or do not have certain clauses that can expose the enterprise at risk. But if there's a process that manages that data and keeps that data in a single repository to run a vector search or query against that data becomes a lot easier to do than a manual effort. So.
Yeah, that probably saves so much time and headache for the legal team, especially if there's new legislation in place and they have thousands or hundreds of contracts that they have to go through. If it's all in a searchable database, now it's like one query and they get all the results that they need. That's amazing. So what do you think centralizing contracts into a single repository changes the risk profile for global enterprise, especially around amendments, renewals, any rogue clauses that are still out there? How does that really benefit an enterprise at enterprise scale?
Well, many people know there's a contract object in Salesforce. It's a standard object. And what we did is we enhanced that object to not only run process against it, but also to be the repository for executed documents. And in that manner, right, not only do we have one place for all contracts, but in many scenarios, contracts need to be daisy chained in parent-child relationships. You might have your MSA and then amendments associated to it for the creation of the contract. And that's where our CLM process can preserve data integrity. But even more so when you think about the CPQ quoting motion, especially on recurring products, where the initial sale will maybe initialize the top level MSA, But when that contract is activated, there may be multiple amendments during that contract duration. And we can preserve the parent-child relationship. We have the pricing and the quoting process in CPQ to fuel or underpin those amendment opportunities and quotes. But at the end of the day, if that contract has an expiry date, we could also put platform kind of automation in place to notify the renewal teams to true up all the kind of new products and services that were bolted onto the initial contract, to preserve the pricing and the uplifts, and to naturally kind of prepare the renewal team to start the negotiation in earnest. And that not only enforces from the contract object, data integrity of your contract hierarchy, but it helps expedite the renewal team to preserve the customer long-term value over time, which is in this day and age becomes the moat for a lot of companies. So
yeah, that's a really cool feature that I didn't think about, like how you can kind of parent-child all the amendments and at renewal time have a way to automate and be able to see all those amendments in one go and preserve those uplifts. So that's I think, like, it seems easy, but in practice, where I see legal teams trying to find all the amendments buried in different emails and PDFs, that itself is a huge lift for some companies. So I think that's really great. And then you had talked about legacy data migration or establishing the kernel of truth involving consolidating legacy and active agreements. Anything there, how this kind of having Salesforce contracts helps in that?
Yeah. So I guess if you are an enterprise considering a contract transformation, one of the preliminary considerations should be, what is the breadth and depth of your legacy contract base?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the nature of it? Is it sitting in semi-structured data on a third-party system?
Mm-hmm.
Great, because then the ETL process, or the extract, transact, and load into the Salesforce contract solution, it is pretty straightforward. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you have contracts sitting in multiple repository, some in file format, some in paper-based format, some in other formats potentially, then there's a consolidation effort that needs to be considered. And I bring that up because that becomes essentially a services effort, where partners can really help the organization to normalize that data. But once that's characterized, Salesforce Contracts has tools to help accelerate to convert that to structured data for our CLM to operate. Now, I would consider it best practice to structure that legacy contract data, meaning plant the start date, end date, terms, and even clauses, the metadata in Salesforce for the purpose of reporting and analytics, and expediting kind of the queries moving forward. But you also have the elective to just bring it in unstructured format, like a PDF, sitting on a Salesforce contract record in our object. In both cases, they're vectorized, which brings about what I said earlier, right? Both sets of data can be eligible to be queried against when that legal team needs to find and detect risk across their full contract base in Salesforce. But just doubling down on structured data, if you do bring it in and decide that you want to structure that data on Salesforce contracts, Salesforce Contracts has an AI that can help OCR that data. So we can have AI read the document in PDF or DOCX, extract out the start date, the end dates, the terms, and the key fields, and even the clauses. And what happens is, after AI kind of figures out what those values are, it will prepare basically the admin to pick and choose if it's correct before it's hard saved into our platform.
That is a game changer, because we work with a lot of clients who have a lot of legacy contracts, right? And when they go on such a transformation, there's always existing contracts that are coming up for renewal, or they need that data to exist in the system. So we help a lot of customers to bring that data into a structured format. But now with AI assistance, it has become much easier. Now, of course, this is an add-on to the standard Salesforce contracts offering, but really makes a difference in terms of analyzing unstructured data, PDFs, files, and even emails where you have some just approvals sent through, and all of that is ingested and is able to be structured into contracts form that's again searchable, and that allows for automation like renewal notifications, any also additional analysis on where that account is going towards renewal, whether you're going to see an uplift or not. So all that is possible now. And just kind of talking a little bit about how this industry has evolved with Conga DocGen partnership ending. Hundreds of CPQ customers need a new solution. So we've talked about Salesforce Contract Standalone, but Salesforce also offers Omni Studio DocGen that's filling the gap. Is this a natural ramp up into the broader kind of contract transformation?
Yeah, it is. But just to be clear, like Salesforce Contract Standalone is the contracting solution. But when Salesforce Contracts is purchased with ARM, Agentforce Revenue Management, it does come with, it's underpinned by Omni Studio DocGen, which means that if you have opportunity to generate dynamic PDFs or DOCXs, even PPTs from your quote, that's fringe benefit solution. And one of the differentiators with that DocGen is that it uses what we call context services, which is a definition on identifying data across many objects on your Salesforce platform, and making sure it's related to the merge fields that you create on your dynamic output, whether it's just a static output or a CLM contract type. The benefit is you define that once and it can be reused for multiple templates, which is profound because it's really it shows kind of the innovation that Salesforce has made into the solution. But the ease of maintenance over time is also reduced because you don't have to kind of redefine that so much every time you create a new template. It's really just one definition in your context service.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we talked a little bit about the DocGen piece, but we have that. But also some customers that we talk to, they talk about buy side versus sell side CLM questions.
Yeah.
And so they often push for a single platform for both. How do you position Salesforce contracts against point solutions like Ironclad, or when that objection comes up? How do you think about that?
Yeah. So Salesforce Contracts was positioned to support fully the sell side contract needs, right? I mean, we are the preeminent CRM company, so that data with context, I mean, we could fully support contracting motion. So I'm talking about NDAs, MSAs, order forms, sales agreements. Those are natural to Salesforce, and you would expect a contract solution to support that. Now, buy-side solutions scenarios are share the same kind of requirements, base requirements, in that if you need to generate an agreement from the template, manage the versions, use the contract object as a repository, those are overlapping capabilities of our solution that could meet the base requirements for buy-side scenarios. But when buy-side scenarios start going into expectations of out-of-box connectors to maybe ERP systems or procurement systems or extended traceability for outbound calls, that stuff can still be addressed with platform extensibility, but the Salesforce contract solution is really, that's beyond the bounds of the Salesforce contract solution. So essentially becomes a services effort.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, that's totally, I think that's the beauty of this standalone contracts offering, is that it's very focused on this, on the sell side, right? Like, and you can kind of, use it for all sell side use cases. And so that's the beauty of it, like, at least from what we have seen on the sell side, it is the preeminent way to be able to run your contract. So that's awesome. And kind of going into that, where we're playing into, now, like, SMB market and mid-market and their transformation journey. What does a successful small and medium business or mid-market contracts engagement look like in terms of scope and timeline? I can talk a little bit about it from our experience, what's included out of the box. But from your experience, what are you hearing as what does the customer want as they go through this journey? And then I can talk about what we offer.
Yeah. Well, repository, number one, I think the effort of making sure there's a process against one contract repository is a level up to many SMB and market kind of customers, because they want to eradicate all the disparate systems.
Mm-hmm.
But the benefits are profound. Once it's on platform, as we mentioned, like amendments and renewals gets expedited, but you kind of future-proof the organization for future agentic use cases. And that's where, Salesforce can help as a product company, because we are continuing to make innovation into AI supporting the CLM motion. But it's also eligible for agentic design that's specific to the customer, that we're not necessarily productionized. But it's got to be on platform, right, in the same repository. But either way, I mean, I'll just say this, right? If companies of any size are managing contracts in multiple motions, uncontrolled manner, in a state of chaos without the proper approvals, the risk could quickly catch up with them. And that's really the main reason why we wanted to bring a contracting solution to the market, is that we have all the data there around securing your customers and to keep them from the long term, as far as managing your contracts well, should be a definite high consideration when you're looking at it.
And what's really great about this kind of standalone offering, what we have seen for small and medium businesses or even mid-market customers, is that the transition to use it happens really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So what we offer is an accelerator program where we stand up native CLM on Salesforce in weeks, not quarters, and ready to go. So a few of the things that we offer in 6 to 8 weeks is we set up through a fixed price contract, really fixed price engagement. We do set up contract types. We'll set up approval processes. We'll set up a clause library. We'll set up document templates. We'll set up your e-signature. We'll do all the migration, testing, and hypercare and support all together in 4 to 6 weeks, where we get you up and running. So that's our offering, which has been greatly received in the market. But also we can have add-ons like what we talked about. If there's a real need for AI right away to ingest unstructured contracts, that's an add-on that's available. If you want additional document types, you want collaborative redlining, legacy data import, all of that can be done through us, which based on the use case can be really important, especially around renewal. So this is kind of exciting going into this market, is being able to offer this kind of limited scope, fixed price offering from a services range because it's very, we know what we're getting with Salesforce contracts. We know how to move a customer into this platform quickly and fast and be able to use all the benefits that we talked about.
Yeah. I think that's actually an accelerator too, because when you're considering a contract transformation, you want a partner that's been there, done that, that knows kind of the best practices on that transformation. So that service is definitely good.
Cool. So as we talk about, AI has been a big kind of conversation topic for all things tech.
Yeah.
So where do you see is AI playing a role in contract lifecycle management, both in implementation speed and for ongoing contract intelligence?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Actually, yeah, the value of having contracts on platform using the object as a repository and will provide data. I like to say data with integrity that can give you richer analytics, dashboards, and reports. You can't manage what you can't track, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when you get early visibilities on renewals coming out 2 or 3 months in advance, or which contracts are being held up because of approvals at the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year, that can help ultimately cash flow and revenue. So those kind of insights are just part and parcel with these types of implementations. In addition to that, agentic use cases, especially around our differentiators, will be profound as Salesforce continues to make investment. Namely, we are looking to roll out, prescriptive red line against the playbook to expedite the versioning, the negotiation process. We have a capability in Salesforce contracts to create obligations. So some of these clauses on executed documents need to be tracked for the duration of the contract, whether it's future purchase commitments or SLAs. We want to put AI in the middle there to help make that more automatic creation and also tracking. So things like that will continue to evolve over time. So we're very excited on the future of how AI is going to impact our CLM and also just, platform capabilities as a whole.
Yeah, I think that especially contracts and legal is a great space for AI to really get some productivity gains, but also manage risk. I think that's very exciting in the legal space. So I think contracts is the first step towards getting to that platform where you can really take advantage of some advanced AI features that can help you not only go through these contracting processes faster, but also reduce your overall organization risk.
I think there's one more thing we're seeing, like especially now in the field around contracts, is like we definitely have an out-of-box interface and put custom actions on objects to start the contracting process. But more and more, we're seeing users want to interact with an agentic design, right? So this is very typical. Instead of interacting with a traditional UI, sales user can interact with a agent under their own design to say, I need a certain contract for this customer with these terms included. AI can use our CLM to validate if it's feasible or any rules that apply. And very quickly, right, they can get what they need through an agentic approach. That's part a surface effort, but it's definitely technically feasible with an agentic platform like Salesforce.
Yeah, I think that the possibilities are so many now with the agentic platform, with having data in a searchable manner, intelligence built in. I think the chances of creating additional risk are significantly lowered, but also possibilities of more contracting work where contracting is holding off new deals just because contract takes too long or it's a cumbersome process, is all removing all that friction from the sales process. I think is going to go huge, especially for small, medium-sized businesses that don't have large teams doing contracting, that need sales teams to be able to sign a contract quickly. I think for them, this kind of platform really works, especially if they're doing a lot of contracts. So that's really key here. I think the ability for us to get our customers up and running on a Salesforce contracts platform in weeks, not months, and then being able to utilize most of the core features right away. And then they can always have the option of adding on contracts AI to do more AI work and add on collaborative lead writing. You can go on and on from there. But I think to be able to get up to speed within weeks is huge. And really excited about this kind of standalone feature. So the customers don't have to go through the whole Revenue Cloud transformation, but can get on contracts as a first step.
That's right. And that actually is a footprint of success that we've seen quite a bit already. And just doubling down on Salesforce Contracts standalone, right? It is one step closer to a deeper kind of ARM transformation. But the benefit is it's not throwaway work. Meaning, if you decide to implement Salesforce Contracts, even with just Sales Cloud, I mean, what's the saying? One in the bag, two in the bush. Right? When you do approach an ARM transformation, that's one less thing to worry about, especially if your contracts, your contracts is in order.
Yeah, and I think that's a great step into getting into a full ARM transformation. Is if you get done with contracts, that's a big part of the friction of the process. Then you can, we are doing a lot of work in this Revenue Cloud space and this transformation, but having contracts done out of the way is a huge step up for those companies to get into this transformation. So that's another reason why having this standalone offering allows you to stay ahead of the game and not wait for inertia. Just go ahead, and I would say that's kind of more like a no-brainer to get into a contracts platform like this if you're doing a lot of contracting and in any unstructured way. It's just better, reduce risk, and it's weeks to get into a platform like this. Perfect. This was really great. Any parting words, thoughts on where Salesforce is looking at contracts in general? Anything exciting coming up from your side that you want to talk about?
I think I just want to lead with a best practice, right? Like the climate right now is everyone's gravitating to AI. It's really like attractive, energetic use cases. And that's all well and good. But if you don't have the proper foundation, what's the saying? Those agents will just fail fast. And so a process that yields data with integrity will set for future energetic design. And that's why this is so essential at the contract level for sure, but also people are kind of quoting demand kind of capturing process. And that's why I think Salesforce has a great foundation for an energetic future.
Great. Can't agree with you more. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you for your time today. Really great talking to you today, Don. Hope we can collaborate more in the future, but thanks for being on our first podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
All right.